Eddie Hearn says Canelo has to be respected for picking Bivol instead of Charlo. Let's chat about that.
Push the weight in our flex. Flex the livest one in the section. Fit the runner, boy, you nigga, no question. You ain't run a motherfucker hot stepping. Hey, you never had a big enough weapon. Motherfucker never learned your lesson. I'm a 88 pack nigga. I'm a 88 pack nigga. I mean, day walker, drink blood, fangs out, full moon, motherfucker change like a hoe, nigga. I'm just a nigga from the hood trying to stack a little cheddar for the money.
Drew Titan, Bronx on deck. Shout out to the mighty LDBC. So I'm on Boxing Scene, and link will be in the description. I'm looking at this article. It says Eddie Hearn says Canelo has to be respected for picking Bivol instead of Charlo. Respected? All right. Let's read. Promoter Eddie Hearn, who currently works with undisputed super middleweight champion Saul Canelo Alvarez, has a very good idea who he'd like to see the Mexican superstar face in the coming future. Canelo is scheduled to collide with his career rival Gennady Golovkin in a trilogy fight on September 17th at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Should Canelo prevail, Hearn would like to see him face WBA light heavyweight champion Dimitri Bivol in a rematch. Back in May, Bivol secured a career-defining win when he outboxed Canelo over 12 rounds to bank a dominant, unanimous decision. And then, should Canelo continue to fight by the fight pact with Hearn, the British promoter views two-time super middleweight champion David Benavidez as a big fight for the future. Okay. Before that fight can happen, Hearn would like to see Benavidez beat a top-tier opponent like Caleb Plant. For Canelo's next three fights, Gennady Golovkin, Dimitri Bivol, and I think Benavidez is a big fight in time, said Hearn to the Zone Boxing Show. When Canelo signed the two-fight agreement with Hearn, he was also presented with a very lucrative deal from Premier Boxing Championships, which included fights with Benavidez and undefeated middleweight champion Jamel Charlo. Canelo decided to go in the direction of fighting Bivol and Golovkin. Boy, did that backfire. Wow. When people talk about how Canelo should fight Benavidez and Charlo, which would be a voluntary basis of his 168-pound titles, it doesn't stoke anything in Canelo. You hear what he just said? I'll read it again. When people talk about how Canelo should fight Benavidez and Charlo, which would be voluntary defenses for his 168-pound titles, it doesn't stoke anything in Canelo. Wow. When we talk about Bivol and Canelo, when we talk about Bivol, Canelo likes the idea of going up to 175 and challenging someone, Hearn said. Maybe Canelo shouldn't have. Maybe he should have just boxed Charlo. But we have to respect the guy because it's like he wants to handicap himself. BS, man. That's the article. Link will be in the description. Here's my opinion. First of all, they said, I don't know who wrote this. It says Boxing Scene staff. That's what it says, right? That means they're not telling you who the hell wrote this. And let me tell you something. I hope it's one person and not a bunch of people sitting down writing this. They're reporting on what Eddie Hearn said, but let me ask you guys a question. It says here Jamel Charlo. Don't think they were talking about Jamel. Pretty sure they were talking about Jamal. Link will be in the description. You can read it yourself. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Pretty sure they were talking about Jamal, though. But I'll let that rock. Whatever. Maybe I'm wrong. Who cares? All right? But here's the thing. Whether it's Jamel, because he did duck Jamel. He could have fought Jamel. Could have fought Jamal. Could have fought Benavidez. It did say in here that PBC had a lucrative deal for him that included Jamal Charlo, Benavidez, All right. That was there. He chose to go in the direction of Dmitry Bivol and Gennady Golovkin. Now, let me remind you guys who weren't here or have short-term memory. Nobody was checking for this Bivol fight. In fact, I'll take it a step further. Bivol wasn't on the radar. We were looking towards Artur Beterbiev, who I've nicknamed General Zod. We was looking towards him. Why? He's a killer. And, there's a little bias because, John Scully's a friend to the show. Salute to John Scully, the Iceman. Trains Artur Beterbiev. And they were waiting on Canelo to send the contract because they knew he was coming back to 175. He went up there before, he knocked out the crusher, Sergey Kovalev. Never mind the fact that he wasn't, Kovalev wasn't on his radar until he saw Andre Ward destroy him. That's when he went up and did it. It's in writing. Look it up. So all of this talk about, Bivol was too big, please stop it. Bivol was not too big. Kovalev and Bivol are around the same size. I know who's bigger than them or around the same size. Who's at 168? David Benavidez, who's on the PBC, who's looking for the smoke. Jamal Charlo, who's been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And let me remind you, numbskulls. I'm talking to the numbskulls and the haters. All right? Let me remind you guys. When it came time for Canelo to fight Jamal Charlo, something called a franchise status just came out of nowhere, and he left. And you Canelo Man fans didn't say a word. You just bigged him up and, he's going up in weight, who cares? And, whatever. Mayate, whatever you want to call us. All that's cute. But he shot himself in the ass when he went up to fight Bivol. Because the block is hot, and I ain't going to get into all of that. That's how he lost on the cards, by the way. Because the block is hot. They were trying to rob Bivol. They tried real hard, but there's a microscope on the sport of boxing. But whatever, just check my channel if you want to know what I'm talking about. So he got outclassed, outboxed. He got schooled. And now he's going back down to 168 to fight Gennady Golovkin. Now, let me tell you about that fight. It's easy for us to sit here and say that he's going to wash Gennady Golovkin. Everyone's picking Canelo to win. All right, and I understand that. But the more I think about it, he's pulling Gennady Golovkin up to 168, right? The more I think about it, maybe Canelo is the only guy that could bring the best out of Gennady Golovkin. Maybe bringing him up to 168, maybe it's a mistake. Because he's older now. Maybe it's easier for him to make 168 than the 160. And maybe he could look subpar against everybody else, but against Canelo, there's like a fire burning inside of him. And it's like, nah, you know what? Nope. This is my night. Maybe this fight is a little more competitive than we believe it's going to be. Maybe. I'm saying maybe. But if he washes Gennady Golovkin and looks good doing it and knocks him out, then what? Then what? You're going to go back up to 175 and fight Bivol? There was no part of that fight. And and by the way, you were injured in that fight? You was injured while fighting in that fight? I don't believe you, Canelo. Just like you said you was a clean fighter and drug-free, I don't believe you. But that's neither here nor there. There was no part of that fight. You can't outbox Dmitry Bivol. You can't outmuscle Dmitry Bivol. There's no part of that fight you'll win. But you outsmarted yourself because you thought you was taking the, drum roll, easy route. You thought you was taking the easy route. And you outsmarted yourself. That's what you did. That's exactly what you did. You lost the Bivol. All right? And you're fighting Gennady Golovkin. All right? You better not look subpar in this fight. How about this? You better not lose, dude. Because if Canelo loses to Gennady Golovkin, he may as well just retire. Just say, yo, look, I've been super busy. You know, my heart's not in it. I just can't. Thank you. Call it a career. But what I do understand is now, why you didn't want to go in the direction of a Jamal Charlo or Jamel Charlo, whichever Charlo you want to pick, or a David Benavidez, because I firmly believe these guys would have fucked you up. You don't think so? Canelo Man fans, you don't think so? Why didn't he go in that direction? Nobody was checking for no Bivol. Nobody was checking for no third fight with Golovkin. As a matter of fact, Canelo said, I wasn't checking for a third fight with Golovkin. Remember he told us that he didn't want to do that fight? It was out of his system. Yeah, but PBC got money for you. Benavidez and Charlo over here for you. Yeah, I think I'll fight Gennady Golovkin and Dmitry Bivol. 2 fights we weren't even calling for. 1 fight he wasn't calling for until he lost. This guy's a walking, living contradiction. He's a liar and he's a cheater. But that's your guy. So, y'all let me know what y'all thinking on this. You already know my opinion on it. Better not get in there and lose against Gennady Golovkin, boy. That's all I'm saying. Bronx on deck. Move!